Joining me now, co-chairs of the Problem Solvers Caucus, New York Congressman Tom Reed, New Jersey Congressman Josh Gottheimer. Good to see both of you, Congressman. Josh, to you first. When will we get more stimulus? Is that, again, now that a lot of these areas of the country are grappling with rising infections and even deaths, there's going to be an even greater need for aid, whether it's small businesses, an extension of the unemployment benefits. When will that happen, if that will happen?
Well, I'm hoping, and I know Tom and I, as co-chair of the Problem Solvers Caucus, feel deeply that it's critical that we get this done in the next weeks before, obviously, the hotalidays. It's a very tough time right now. If you pointed out, look at the map with cases skyrocketing everywhere. We had the highest caseload here in New Jersey, 4,600 since the pandemic began. So everyone has to take action here, and that means House Democrats and Republicans and the senators are going to have to sit down and leadership at the table and get this done. And I couldn't say this stronger, that we've been working on this for months, that now is the time to get stimulus. Now is the time to help folks families who are struggling and help the food insecure. As you know, so many people are hungry right now. Now is the time to get this done.
Maria spoke with House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy about if Congress can reach a new bill during the lame duck session. Here's what he said, and then, Tom, I'll get your reaction.
Do you expect anything this year during the lame duck session? Should we expect more stimulus coming?
Well, the American public should expect it out of their elected officials. There are 23 Democrats who signed a letter in September who said they would sign the discharge petition if they had no recourse with Nancy's actions. Well, now is the time. I'm right here in D.C. today. If they signed it, we could get it out in one day. That's the difference. We are ready to act, willing to act, and willing to work with anybody. We just have a speaker who believes nothing is more important than something.
Congressman Tom Reed, your reaction to that, and then I'll let Josh respond.
What Kevin's talking about is $130 billion of the Paycheck Protection Program, and that would be something which is better than nothing, and that may be something we have to consider, and I'll defer to Josh whether they'll move forward with that. But I think we need more than that. I think what we need to work with Kevin as well as others in the Senate, which we are already doing in the Problem Solvers Caucus, talking to our partners. There's essentially about 8 senators that we're working with on a regular basis. And, you know, we've got these guys back to the table, our leadership, both on the Democrat-Republican side with Mitch McConnell and with Mark Meadows and the White House. And we've been talking to the administrative officials. Remember, President Trump has to sign this legislation, and we were assured just 72 hours ago that I was talking with White House officials that if we can do a package, it's not going to be a $2 trillion package. That ship has sailed. That is gone. What we need to do is focus on what is attainable. And that is a package somewhere in between $500 billion and $1 trillion, somewhere in that range. Let's do what's necessary for the American people and for American businesses and individuals. And that is a package that the president will sign. That is a key critical piece of information I'm delivering this morning. President will sign this if these guys get out of the way and leadership stops playing politics. It was presidential politics before. Now it's a race in Georgia that is distracting everybody or making them put politics over people. It's time to put people first and get this deal done.
Congressman Gottheimer, it's a $135 billion in unused paycheck protection money. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi was actually asked about that on Friday, about the possibility of releasing it, and she said that's up to the administration. No, it's not. It's up to Congress. Well, they have to reallocate it. So what was she talking about?
I didn't hear that, but I'll tell you what I know is that, and I agree with Tom, now's the time to get back to the table. And if Kevin McCarthy wants to join us at the table in figuring out a package that we've got Democrats and Republicans agreeing to, and we know the administration will be there, and we know we've got a group of senators, bipartisan, also eager to get something done, as Tom said, that covers these areas that we've been focusing on now for months, we can get this done. And so now, what I think is critical, and we've said this to leadership on both sides, is and the administration, let's get back to the table. Let's do it this week. Let's find an agreement. It's there. Let's put aside all the politics and help folks. No more. We've got to really, really stand by Americans right now and small businesses and families, and obviously make sure that our schools have what they need as we go through a very, very tough winter and the testing is ready. So to me, there's agreement. You've got Democrats and Republicans agreeing on a package. We know where we can get across the finish line, but it's a matter of both sides stopping the games and actually getting something done. And I know that's something we've stressed to leadership. My leadership, I've stressed that. I know Tom has done the same, and now it's time to get it done.
Tom, would an extension of the unemployment benefits, again, that extra 13 weeks provided by the federal government of unemployment benefits, that ends at the end of the year? Also, the expansion that, say, contract workers, freelancers, and people would be able to also collect unemployment benefits through a federal program. Would those be two critical parts of a new stimulus package?
That's the frustrating little secret of Washington, D.C. When you focus on the policy, there's broad bipartisan support for things like that. And you're not going to get the $600 amount. Everybody knows that ship is gone. That is a lesson taught, a lesson learned. What we need to do is make sure that you have relief, but you don't get more money not working than you do when you're working. And it's caused a ripple effect that's damaging getting people back to work and having businesses get the employees that they need back into employment. So there's a solution there, and we know what it is. And people have widely vetted it. So that would be a critical piece, but you also got to get the Paycheck Protection Program. You also need some assistance for food assistance. You need some housing assistance. The package, the contours of it are not hard. It's getting the damn politics out of the way and tell leadership, stop playing games. Enough is enough. Put people first, not politics. And if you do your job, real leaders will emerge, and you let the politics get out of the room.
I will leave it at that. Congressman Reed, Congressman Gottheimer, good to see you both. Have a safe and blessed Thanksgiving, both of you.